You could argue that Merida were one of the first brands to really get it right with e-mountain bikes. After all, they'd got it so wrong with some of their early downhill and enduro bikes. Let me just put that into context. It was the E160 that finally tipped me over the edge to go full e-mountain biking. But some of those earlier bikes, they scared the hell out of me. So like many brands then, they have made some howlers, but critically, they've learned from it a lot. And up on that rock there is a bike that I'm really looking forward to riding, which is why I'm so happy that Merida have invited us here to Spain to ride the all-new E160. Now, as one of the biggest bike manufacturers in the world, Merida have always had the technical know-how. However, in the last 10 years, things have changed dramatically by establishing an all-new design team, enabling them then to go from bikes that look like this to bikes that look like this. But before we dive into this bike, let's just return for a second to the winter of 2016 and the first 160, because at the time, many people, including myself, believed that Merida totally nailed it. It was about componentry, geometry, suspension. The bike really was dynamic. Essential characteristics then, not just for the Merida, but for any e-mountain bike. But the bottom line is, are you enjoying it and do you like it? But this then is said to be a huge improvement on an already fine vintage. But how have they done that? Well, let's have a look at the main changes. Integrated battery, carbon front triangle, mixed wheel size, lighter, more sizes, extra small to extra large, geometry changes, lower and slacker, mudguards front and back, quieter, a lower standover, and finally that integrated fork stopper and thermogate. This bike then really does have some big boots to fill. I really like this bike, and so it seems did a load of other people, leading it to be one of Merida's most decorated, tested and awarded bikes in the company's history. That's right, in its history, and I wonder what founder Ivry would actually think of that, given the company's rich cross-country history, the likes of former world cross-country champion Jose Antonio Hermida, who actually seems to spend a lot of time on e-bikes these days. Isn't that right, Jose?
Amigo, now you come to me with this question, huh? Listen, e-bikes are proper bikes and I don't miss my traditional bike, even if I was a world champion. So go away biking, let me alone.
So what do we have then? Well, it's an e-enduro bike, 160mm travel, allowing you to do pretty much anything you please. Downhill, trail, cross-country, or just simply roam around the hills without a worry in the world. But it's all about the details, starting off with that super sleek internal battery. The battery is a two-component system comprising of a soft outer layer to reduce noise, while the inner layer provides the structural shape. All connection points between the battery and the frame have a rubber layer between them. So I know a lot of people who love how easy it is to pop off those external Shimano batteries. And how is it on this bike? Well, you simply pop off the rubber guard, get in the tool, which is located in your rear axle, pop that in there, one clip, and out she comes. So there you go, super neat and simple. You can remove it really easily and chuck one of those in your backpack as a spare and go for a mega day out in the hills. Shimano say it's good for at least 1,000 charges, and of course it's got that IPX5 rating, which means it can withstand a 6mm jet. In terms of the placement on the bike, now Merida say that it's really strong. It seals the down tube, reduces rattling, and of course protects that down tube from debris on the trail. Moving on to the suspension, now there's 160mm travel up front and 150 on the rear. And Fox say that e-bike specific 36 fork is even more durable. The suspension design is progressive and it's linked to a custom shock tune, which Merida say enables an even livelier ride. There are many people who believe that 150, 160 mil travel really is the sweet spot for e-mountain bikes. So whilst mountain biking has been split into so many categories to a point where we have a bike for every micro occasion, cross-country, enduro, endurance, trail, downhill, the E160 is a bike that can do all those things for you. At the heart of this bike, of course, is that Shimano Steps motor, even more physically anonymous than before, and with mechanical precision that even the Germans would tip a hat to. Now, it's a well-documented motor, one that does not dominate the ride, but works with the rider. You want some, and it gives you some, and that's the result of some really clever software. The 250 watt Shimano motor has 3 levels of assist: Eco, Trail and Boost mode, and they are all fully customizable through the eTube app. Now, Merida say they've deliberately gone for the 504 watt hour battery because in that way you can easily stick another one in your backpack and have a huge range. Now, I'm sure you guys are very familiar with the Shimano display and switch system, which is fully customizable. You can have it as low profile as you want. But what I really like about this new Merida is how they've got that super dinky mode switch on the left hand side with the new Shimano seat dropper switch. But there's much more to an e-bike than a motor and switches. So let's have a look at some more detail. 175 to 165 millimeter cranks, bottle cages, seat dropper for different rider heights. Ooh, that Italian seat, grippy. And if you go for the top of the range bike, you get 2 batteries and a bag. So as you can see, they've really put some love into this bike. And of course with the components too. Now, with the close alliance with Shimano, needless to say then that it's a full wardrobe from Japan on the 160 Merida. 1x12 gearing, a decision they made due to some riders feeling that Di2 a little bit harsh. Now, I really like the Di2 shifting on the old bike, but there you go, it's a personal thing. The Shimano theme has continued with some hefty anchors, the mighty Shimano XTR with 200mm rotors, there to help those overeager riders on a bike that is simply so capable. Do you know what? I feel like I'm missing something. Oh yeah, wheels. Now, it's clear that an e-mountain bike needs to be gripping on ascents whilst carving up the descents. Now, geometry and componentry are key, but wheels and rubber are too, the component part in that debate. 29 by 2.5 and 27.5 by 2.6 maxes front and rear. Shot, of course, onto the e-mountain bike specific DT Swiss hybrid wheel set. Merida have actually gone for a 29-inch front wheel and a 27.5 rear. Now, the 29 front actually rolls over terrain a little bit easier, and that 27.5, well, that dives into corners that little bit quicker. And I guess you could argue makes for a stronger wheel. Right, let's talk geometry. Now, the mountain bike industry has had years to fine-tune mid-travel geometry, but what about e-bike geometry? Well, first of all, I know that this is a little bit steep. However, the Merida, now this bike has got a 65.5 head angle, a 439mm chainstay, 17.5 drop on the bottom bracket, and a 75-degree seat tube angle. Now, what does this add up to on the trail? Well, it's a fact that the characteristics of these lower and slacker geometry numbers in general means excellent stability, great cornering and good climbing feel. But this applies not just to this e-mountain bike, but anyone. Of course, let's not forget about sizing here, because that is equally as important and can affect your fit and your comfort. I suppose you could argue it's the same thing as geometry. The key thing here is that this Merida comes in 5 sizes. This is actually a large, but I can actually probably ride an extra large. So it starts off with a 400mm reach in the size extra small, and it goes up in 20mm increments to a 480mm reach for the XL. And the prices on the bike start at £5,000 for the 5000 model, up to £9,500 for the 10k version. But remember, you get a spare battery and a backpack on that bike. So what about the visuals? Well, some would have said that the old E160 was simply a mountain bike with a battery fitted on it. And this one, yeah, you could argue it's much more of a mountain bike shape. Just remember, Merida have gone for a carbon front triangle and alloy chainstay and seat stay on the 160. Design freedom and a unique appearance are arguably the main advantages of using carbon up front, whereas on the rear, durability is key. Now, I mentioned Thermogate earlier, and that's there to keep your battery cool if you leave your e-mountain bike in a car or in direct sunlight. So it's designed to dissipate heat through that venting system. And because there's lots of frame protection in different places, this bike is very, very quiet when you're riding it. Now, one little thing I've noticed on this bike, which is really cool, is how it goes from assist to non-assist really, really seamlessly. That's a cool touch. But it's all the little details, the unique ones, and the fact that it's actually one of the lightest e-mountain bikes on the market. Is it fun? Do you like it? Well, that's only a question you guys can answer for yourselves. So I think all that's left to be said is don't forget to get to a Merida demo event to try out the different models and sizes of the new E160. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Let us know your comments down below. If you want to see what these bikes are capable of, check out the one I did with Hannah Barnes, a ride into the wilderness of Scotland. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to EMBN. And don't forget, the places you can get to an e-mountain bike are truly insane.